So yesterday we talked about all the different ways to factor, right? If it was the difference of two perfect squares, or if it was a perfect square trinomial, or if the leading coefficient was 1, or if it was a GCF. The one that gives us the hardest time is this one. It's a trinomial where the A value is not a 1. You guys have a hard time with this one. So I'm going to show you another way that you can solve this. Yesterday I just showed you the quick trial and error or guess and check method, okay? Yesterday I showed you, and some of you guys looked at me like I don't get it. So how do you, if we did the trial and error method for this, how do you do this? Let's talk about it, and then I'm going to give you another way to do the same problem, and you can pick whichever way you like, do that for these ones. These are the most difficult ones. So do you remember what we have to do here? We have to figure out two numbers that multiply to give you 6x squared. So we usually start with 3x and 2x. Now could it be 6 and 1? It could be. How will I know? I don't know until after I guess and I check. Then right here, what two numbers multiply to give me -4? -2 and +2. Let's try that. So how do I know if that's the right combination? Well, what we do is we multiply these two out and these two and add them. Did I get -5? So this is going to give you 6x minus 4x. Did that give you -5x? No. So what are we going to do? We're going to change, instead of this one, let's try something else.
You know it's 2x and 3x.
No, it could be, like I said, it could be 6 and 1.
We don't know yet.
We don't know. We have to keep guessing and checking. So how about, someone give you a 4 and 1? Want to do 4 and 1 here? Okay, let's see if this works. One of them has to be positive and one has to be negative. Why, is one going to be positive and negative? Because it's a -4. So what is 3x times 1? The outers and the inners. What is 3x times -1? -3x. And then what's 4 times 2? Did that one work?
No, it's +5.
It's positive, this is a positive
So
5.
switch the positive and
So
Make it
switch these
3x
signs.
minus 4.
So let's check it out again. If we made that the negative and this the positive, does it now work? Now I get 3x minus 8x, yes. So that's called guess and check. I'm going to show you another way, and if you like this new way, do that instead. Okay, it's the A times C method. See the 6? We have this equation. We have 6x squared minus 5x minus 4. What you're going to do is rename this equation as, we're going to break -5x into two different numbers that add to be -5x. But the product of the A and the C value, you're going to take the first number and the last number and you're going to multiply them together. What is the A value and what is the C value? 6 times -4 is -24. We want two numbers that multiply to give you -24, but they're going to add to be -5.
-8.
Okay, so let's go. If you don't know, what I do is I make a list. What numbers, 1 times 24 is 24. What else gives you 24? 2
12.
times
12.
12. Do those numbers give you add to be 5? Nope. How about 3? 3 and what? 3 and 8. Aha.
Change the sign.
3 and 8. How do we get 3 and 8 to multiply to give me -24, but add to be -5?
-8 and +3.
You guys got it. So what you're going to do is write this problem as 6x squared plus 3x minus 8x minus 4. Does everybody see that these two add up to be negative 5x and they multiply to give you negative 24? Okay, now we're gonna do factoring by grouping, and I showed you this yesterday. Take the first two and GCF something out. What comes out of 6x squared plus 3x? What's the
3x.
biggest common? 3x. So if you take a 3x out, what are you left with? 2x plus 1. Good job. Now take these two. What's the biggest number you can take out of that?
A negative 4.
What are you left with? 2x
Minus 1.
minus 1?
Plus 1.
It'd be a plus because negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Now look at that. Do you see these two are the same? You pull that out. Oh, you're almost done. And what's left?
3x minus 1.
And I want you to look at your answer when we did it, the guess and check. Is it not identical? It's just, these are switched, which, you know, you can write that answer backwards. It's the commutative property for multiplication says that you can do that. Which way do you like better?
So
It
did
depends on
Guess and
time.
check?
It depends on time. Like if I'm at a lot of time, I'd probably do factoring.
Okay, let's practice this one. 6x squared minus 17x plus 10. Let's do the AC method, because that's what I'm teaching right now. The trial and, or the AC method. So, what is the A value and what's the C value?
6 and 10.
6 times 10. What's 6 times 10? 60. Okay, so now we want a positive 60. So we're gonna write 6x squared minus 17x and then plus 10. So I want two numbers that multiply to give me 60, but that are gonna add to be negative 17. So now, the two numbers must be both positive or both negative, right? Because the only way to get a positive 60 is to have both numbers positive or negative. So let's go through the list. Some of you might know what it is. What is it?
Negative 12 radius.
Negative 12 and negative 5. So if you don't know, make a list. 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, and what did you say it was?
5 or negative 5.
5 and 12.
5 and 12. These two numbers multiply to give you 60, but if you make them both negative, they will both, if a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative 5 plus a negative 12 is negative 17. So these are the numbers that we want to use. So this is what we're going to write. 6x squared. Now it doesn't matter which one you put first. Negative 5x, negative 12x, and then plus 10. Does everybody understand?
Doesn't it factor nicely though if you put the 12, the 6? and
It's the
5?
same, it'll be the same. So it's totally up to you. Now what is common in these two is an x.
Nice.
And you're left with 6x minus 5. And then what can you take out of these two? A negative 2. And you're left with 6x minus 5. And now what's your final answer?
X
6x minus 5 times
X minus 2.
x minus 2. Now let's check it, see if this works. 6x and x minus 2. Let's FOIL it out. Let's see. 6x times x is 6x squared. 6x times negative 2 is negative 12x. And then minus 5x. And then plus 10. And it works. So if you could have guessed and checked faster, do that, and better, then do that. Or if you like this method, use that method. Okay? How about number 3?
48.
You're gonna do the AC method. What is the A value? It's 4, and the C value is negative 12. So I need two numbers that multiply to give you negative 48, but add to be 47. So one's gonna be positive and one's gonna be negative. This is actually an easy one. Yep, you got it. 48 and what? And negative 1. So you have, your problem reads 4x squared plus 47x minus 12. So I need two numbers that multiply to give me negative 48, but add to be 47. So it's gonna look like this. 4x squared plus 48x minus 1x, and then minus 12, right? So look at your first two terms. What am I gonna take out?
4x.
Or,
A 4x, good, 4x. You're left with x plus 12. And then these next two, you're gonna take out a negative 1, and you're left with x plus 12. And what's your final answer? X plus
4.
12 times
4x
4x minus 1. Easy? And then let's check it out, make sure it worked. We have x plus 12, and then 4x minus 1. Let's make sure this works. X times 4x, 4x squared, x times negative 1 is negative x, and then plus 48x, and then minus 12. And yes, we get the middle term, plus 47x minus 12. Very good. So, I want to see a show of hands. How many prefer the guess and check method? How many are quick with putting numbers in and you can multiply the outers and the inners quickly and get it? How many are better at that? How many of you like this AC method? Okay, all right, well, guess what? You get to pick what you want to do. I'll tell you what I do, and this is just some advice. When you have a lot of options here, see this 4 and 12, when I'm given a lot of options, for 4 you could put a 1 and a 4, a 2 and a 2, and then for 12 you could do 2 and 6, 6 and 2, 3 and 4, 4 and 3, 1 and 12, 12 and 1. See how many options you have? When the guessing and checking gets to be crazy, where I've got too many different numbers I can use to get 12 and 4, then I might use the AC method. It might be quicker. But if your C value is like 5, 7, 3, like prime numbers, how can you get, what two numbers multiply to give you 5? 5 and 1. What two numbers give you 7 and 1? So you don't have much choice.
13.
So when the numbers, I look at my my A and my C. If they're like prime numbers, I probably would do guess and check. It's quicker. You might have to put a number in and maybe switch something around quickly. But when the numbers start getting crazy, when they're composite numbers like 12, 16, you've got a lot of different ways to factor that. You might want to do the AC method, okay? So for homework, this is what you're going to do, this back side. I want to go over one problem that we didn't spend a lot of time with. Look at 7, 8, 9. What do you notice about 7, 8, and 9?
Negative.
There's a negative. Pull out, you're going to factor out a negative 1. If you factored out, excuse me, a negative 1 in this problem, what do you get? What do you get when you pull out a negative 1 in this whole thing?
X squared
X squared
minus 9
minus 9x
plus 18.
plus 18. Now you should be able to factor that. How do you factor with the A value is really now a 1. So what times what is 18 but adds to be negative 9? So the answer would be, the final answer would be negative 1, x minus 6, x minus 3. Okay? So that would be your final answer. So the ones where there's a negative, pull the negative 1 out first and then factor it. So the ones where we just did, always see if you can GCF something out first. But ones like 17, 18, 19, not 20, 21 is a perfect square trinomial, And then these four, I left a little bit of room for you to practice that AC method, okay? For the rest of the time, I need you to do two things for me. If you did not finish yesterday's homework, which is the bookwork 4, if you didn't do those every other odds, that should be first on your list of to do right now. You've got plenty of time in class right now to get that done. You can turn, or do this work.